Since the night the drawing of the snake glowed under the storm and whispered a sound no one could explain, the name Crew was no longer spoken with fear but with caution, and soon after with respect. The tribal chief, who had once screamed that no one calls spirits into stone, was now the one handing Crew a piece of burning charcoal each time the fire was lit. "Draw again, Crew. If the stone can speak, ask it where we must go next." Crew never answered. He never liked speaking. He just took the stick, tilted his head at the cave wall, and began to draw. Deciduous tree, the second drawing, was a leafless tree, its branches growing downward into the ground. No one knew what it meant until the next morning. A child got lost in the forest and stopped in front of a twisted tree that looked exactly like the one in Crew's drawing. Under its exposed roots, the child found a dry hollow and hid there just before a pack of wild dogs passed by. They called it the drawing that saved a life. Some would face the third drawing was a sun, split in half by a jagged crack. A few days later, the mountain cave where the tribe sheltered began to crumble, but because of the drawing, they had moved camp outside just the day before. There were no more doubters. Crew was no longer just the one who draws what he sees. Now, he was the one who draws what has not yet happened. Each night, people gathered around him like they once did around fire, not to touch, but to feel its warmth. Bust in silhouette, then, Crew began to draw them. Portraits of the tribe, the chief, the hunter, the old woman who kept the fire. Crude lines, but unmistakably them. No one knew how he'd learned it. No one dared ask why. Because each face came with something strange. Cracks across the skin, circles around the eyes, a tongue of fire drawn over someone's chest. That night, the hunter whose portrait had flames drawn on his chest accidentally stabbed himself during a chase in the woods. He didn't survive. His drawing was quickly covered with animal hide, but everyone remembered. Now, some believed Crew could draw the future. Others whispered that his drawings were not meant to be watched, but to be chosen, to live, or to be seen, and disappear. An old woman once whispered, "Maybe he doesn't draw to tell stories. Maybe he draws to hold the voices of what's no longer here. Spirits, memories, signs from the sky." The tribe no longer hunted under a new moon unless Crew had drawn it. They wouldn't move to a new cave if Crew hadn't marked the wall. They wouldn't eat unfamiliar fruit unless he had sketched it first. The chief stopped giving commands. Crew held no staff, but every stroke of his charcoal had become law. To the tribe, the cave wall was no longer stone. It was where the sky left messages. Milky Way. And then one day, Crew sat still from sunrise to dusk. He didn't draw, didn't speak. People thought he was ill. But just before midnight, a new drawing appeared. No one saw him do it, but the charcoal was fresh. A child was sketched looking up at the sky, and above the child was a massive eye, not a human eye, something ancient, something that seemed to be looking back. No one slept that night. The elders whispered, maybe the sky isn't just speaking to Crew anymore. Maybe it's listening to him, too. The tribe gradually became dependent on the drawings like a celestial scripture. Crew was no longer just a messenger, but a bridge between the unseen and the existing. And could the child truly keep the voice of the heavens in their mind for a lifetime? Subscribe to the channel to hear part 3, When the Stone Listens Back.